Streaming. All right, there we go. Welcome, everyone, to the debut episode of the Be a Pro Show. Today, I have a very special guest, awesome guy. You guys are going to love him. I'm going to let him introduce himself here, but he is an architectural designer, construction project manager, knows everything about ADUs. He's a best-selling author of this book right here. His name is Michael Emanuel. Thank you, Michael, for being on the show today.
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me as a guest. I appreciate it, man. I'm happy to drop some knowledge with you and your vast amount of experience with your audience. Putting our two heads together, got a lot of a lot of years of experience behind this.
That's awesome. So I think I came across you on social media sometime. I don't know how many years ago, but a couple years ago. I was running my own reno company at the time, and I was looking for contractors in the area, and I came across your page, and there you guys were creating something called an ADU, which not a lot of people still to this day know the word ADU and what it means. So accessory dwelling units, you were doing basically tiny homes in backyards. So I will get into that as well. And then I went to one of your events you were putting on and got an advanced copy of this bad boy right here, Rehabber Secrets. And I've told you that I was so mad when I read this book because it was the exact book I literally had in my brain that I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I guess I don't have to write a book now.
Yeah, I made it easy for you.
It made it so easy for me. So let's tell everyone a little bit about you. So, I mean, I've heard you on multiple podcasts before, but for anyone who doesn't know who you are, just give us, a little 5-minute brief. Where did you grow up? What life was like growing up, and then kind of how then you got into the construction industry.
Sure, yeah. So I grew up in Mississauga, Ontario, just outside Toronto. I guess technically I was born in Etobicoke, and then my family moved when I was still not even a year old yet. So I call Mississauga home. I bounced around the GTA in various areas, been to Oakville, Milton, back to Mississauga, back to Oakville, then to Kitchener. Now I'm back in Mississauga again by a series of unfortunate events. Let's say I'll save that for a different podcast. But so I grew up, middle income household, 2 parents working full time, 3 kids, like your typical family from the 80s, 90s, right? Money was, we had enough money to get by to go on the yearly family vacation. But my parents, they worked hard, but they're not savvy investors, right? So I'll get into that a little bit later, but that's definitely shaped a lot of my beliefs initially about investing and about money. And mind you, they have their own investment accounts and everything like that, but they were not risk takers by any means. So growing up, we actually moved to Oakville as I was finishing elementary school. And, just by happenstance, the high school that I was going to had as part of their like general elective program. So you can get, wood shop, home ec, and I don't know what they're called now. But they had architecture actually as one of those options. And so I was very artistic growing up as a kid. A lot of imagination, building Legos and stuff. I go into some of those stories inside of the book. And so I was good at drawing, being left-handed, using that side of your brain. So I thought that would be a natural fit for me. I also like construction. My dad, he finished our whole basement himself. He's a very handy guy. He is a very handy guy. And so I took that and kind of ran with it. Once I finished high school, I ended up going to Sheridan College's architectural technology program. And I think you went to Conestoga's, but for a similar type of program, right? Maybe slightly different. And actually, I flunked out the first semester. So, fresh out of high school, being 18, right? You're young and stupid. And I wasn't ready for that experience yet. So I ended up going to work full time with my brother doing interlock and landscaping,
Right.
which I had been doing throughout high school during the summers. And I hurt my back. I sprained my spine and I strained a muscle along the spine. I don't know what
Oh,
particular muscle it
sorry.
is, but that put me out of commission for a few weeks. Fortunately, it was something that a little bit of physio was able to correct.
Yep.
But as you can imagine, from that point on, I said, I'm not doing this backbreaking, literally
Right.
work ever again. So let me, put my mind to it. So I think I had done that for maybe a year or two
Yeah.
maximum. And so I went back to Sheridan College, started in semester number one. It was a 3-year program with co-op. I opted out of the co-op and I did 7 consecutive semesters.
Wow.
So no breaks,
Right.
no semesters off to
Mm.
work, and it was just plow right through it, try to make up for lost time. So, it burnt me out by the end, but I did get her done. Um, and then from there, I went into the industry working for a large architectural firm that has offices globally on some pretty impressive projects. 53 West 53, or the MoMA Tower, so the Museum of Modern Art Tower in New York, was the project I was working on primarily, which is worth several billions of dollars. It's completed now. Um, I know I played a very small part as a draftsperson that young in my career, but it was certainly an eye opener into the complexity of construction drawings and construction projects, right? Then I worked on a little bit World Trade Center Tower 3 in New York City, the new World Trade Center, and a little bit on the American Dream retail complex that's in New Jersey. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend that you check it out. I think it would be the closest comparable would be like our Edmonton Mall.
Okay.
It has some like very cool stuff going on there. Like there's I think in the American Dreamland, they put like a ski slope,
Yeah.
right? Indoor ski slope,
Yeah.
other cool stuff like that. And that's when I was working on it. I don't know if that actually got got put in. But one thing I realized when I was there, as much as I liked the design and drafting, it was incredibly tedious
Mm-hmm.
and laborious. And so,
Following up to that, I worked for when I first finished school, I worked for a restoration company for a little bit, and then I tried my hand at drafting, and after a couple weeks, I was like, this ain't for me.
yeah, so
So
I
I feel
reached
your
that point.
pain.
I reached that point probably like a year or so into it, because you'd finish the drawing set for interior finishes. Like I was working on one floor of the MoMA Tower that was for change rooms, and another one was for like the amenities with the pool, and a separate studio for yoga and weight training and things like that. And it just kept getting constantly revised. So you're redoing the same thing, the same drawings over and over again. And so I was like, I don't know if this is entirely for me. So I transitioned into project management. I got a little bit of exposure with a couple of classes on it at Sheridan. Um, and I knew that I liked construction already. So it seemed like project management for a construction company was kind of the next logical step. And I ended up taking less money because I didn't have any experience
Right.
to get a job, because that's what they don't tell you these days, is that employers don't want to hire someone that doesn't have experience.
I had that.
Right,
My
right.
dream after high school was just to frame houses because I did that for co-op, and like no one would hire me, so that's why I ended
Yeah,
up going to
yeah.
school.
It's an entry level job, but you need a minimum of 2 years
Yeah.
experience, right? Catch 22 there. But anyway, so I took less money, knowing that I had no experience other than the architecture side, and it was working on gas stations, so that was pretty cool. Stuck it out with them for only 8 months, and then I transitioned to a much larger firm doing much larger projects, tens of millions of dollars worth of projects and programs. I did some pretty cool stuff. If anyone's been to Yorkville and walked through the Holt Renfrew store that's there at Bay and Bloor, I have my DNA, like literally,
Nice.
with some blood, sweat, and tears. So that was a really really cool project. That it took some time to get the uh, thumbs up from senior management to put me on a type of project like that.
Yeah.
So we did everything in that store. We did multiple floors, interior renovations, did a whole new facade, 200 to 250 stretch, about 50 or 60 feet high, of what was old precast concrete facade, and tore it down and put up a new German limestone
Hmm.
facade. So did that with the store still open. Portion of that work was done over COVID. So you can imagine there was a lot of detail, a lot of complexity, logistics. Suffice it to say, I've gotten a lot of experience on the project management side of things. I actually, during that time, went back to Sheridan and got my certificate in project management,
Okay, yeah.
which is based off of the Project Management Institute and the Project Management Body of Knowledge.
Yeah,
For people
yeah.
that aren't aware, that's the gold standard.
I did a couple courses at Conestoga a couple years ago
Yeah,
for that, and then that's when I realized I'm not made to be a project manager.
it's a lot.
Oh yeah,
It's a lot. There's 40 or 50 different processes. There's 5 different phases of a project life cycle, right? There's the principles of project management. I go into all this in my
yeah,
book, right? So I did a lot. I was with them for 6 or 7 years. And I mentioned it in the introduction to my book, but it basically came to a point where during COVID, with the uncertainty of COVID, like I broke down basically. I didn't see a future. Like
mm,
I didn't see project management in my future for the next 35 years, basically going from one project. And before that project is even done, you're already put into the
yeah,
pre-construction
exactly.
phase of the following project. You're still trying to close this other project, trying to hand it over to the service department and, facility managers. And it's just an endless loop of almost like an unfinished work.
Hmm.
And so I just said I came to the realization that this probably isn't for me over the long term,
Right.
and I didn't know what I was going to do next after that point. So that was in December 2020. I ended up grinding it out for another 6 months before I said, "Okay, here's my 2 weeks notice."
And with
It
that, what was your commute like? Like, where were you living at that time, and then where was your office? Like, were you doing a big commute?
so I was in Oakville,
Yeah.
and I'd have to take the train, so the Lakeshore West Line downtown, and then I'd have to take the TTC up to Bloor, get off at Bloor, and then walk uh, mainly through the concourse. So that's like the
Yeah.
underground mall, right? To that store. But I was also transferring or in the process of transferring over to Kitchener.
Right.
And I was doing work in London for a law firm, a high end floor build of a, I don't know, 20-story tower,
Hmm.
office tower, and converting it for them. So it was a lot of back and forth. It was either going one direction or the other.
Right.
Um, so it was a lot. Now, when I left, I had some savings tucked away. So I definitely had a nest egg to fall back onto while I sort of figure things out. And I wasn't sure exactly what my plan was when I first left, but
Hmm.
I had in early parts of 2021 and 2020 to some extent gone down the rabbit hole of investing, and that was sort of what people were doing when they were working from home and looking at stocks and looking at real estate and all sorts of things, getting all sorts of crazy ideas, people advertising easy money
Yeah.
shortcuts, that kind of thing, like grabs our attention, but seldom does it actually work. And I happened to watch a podcast, Bigger Pockets podcast. I'm
Right.
sure a lot of investors are familiar with it, and they were talking. I watched multiple episodes, just like binge watched it, and there was a common theme among the investors that were guests on the show, and that was when they were asked, "What's your favorite book?" or "What's the most valuable book you
Hmm.
read?" I mean, it was always Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Right.
which I never read growing up.
Hmm.
I read things like The Wealthy Barber,
Okay.
which is very good. It's by David Chilton.
Hmm.
He's a millionaire. He's Canadian.
Yeah.
He's got another book, The Wealthy Barber Returns. I think he has another book in addition to that. But a lot of good advice on savings, but not so much on investments, not
Hmm.
real estate, not business, entrepreneurship. Everything that I got out of Rich Dad Poor Dad really like opened my eyes to the vast amounts of opportunity being a business owner, being an investor, both versus being an employee or self-employed. And so that kind of like the light bulb went off after reading that book, like it did for those investors
Yeah.
on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And I joined up with a local real estate investor network in the GTA. I was assigned a coach slash realtor,
Hmm.
and went over like what my skill set was, which is architecture, and project management.
Yep.
I was like, hey, there's an avenue here for me to have my own business, which I was doing before I got hired by the downtown architectural firm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since, to be honest with you, is trying to serve investors in different ways as far as an architectural designer can,
Mm-hmm.
as a project manager with my own construction management firm, and then as an educator with my book and other content that I put out, being on podcasts like yours.
Yep.
And that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
A little bit more than 5 minutes, but
Yeah, no,
hopefully that
no,
gives
no,
you
that's
a good
good. That's good. Hey,
overview.
well, hey, the whole thing, right? It's like people are more likely to invest in you or work with you if they know you, like you, and trust you, right? So
That's right.
the more you can get out,
Yeah.
the more everyone can learn from you.
Yeah.
So you left the big company and you moved out to Kitchener then after you
With
that was your
so,
plan,
so
yeah.
no, so the big company actually opened up an
Right. Yeah, that's
office
right.
in
Okay.
Kitchener.
Yeah.
So I transitioned to there. The reason I did that is because real estate at that point, even in 2020, had gone up so much.
Hmm.
Like it's gone up so much over the last
Right.
decade. It's almost unfathomable, but it has. And I was looking in the GTA. I was looking in Oakville, where I was living at the time, but in a condo.
Hmm.
Um, and so my now wife and I, we were looking for a place to get together. And so we were looking in Milton, where our families are. And there was 3-story townhomes over for $800,000.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying that. So Kitchener was logical because real estate at that point was still
Hmm.
what I would say was affordable. So we got a new build for like 760,
Right.
760,000, 2,200 square foot detached. Like you can't compare between what we were looking at in the GTA and what we ended up getting in Kitchener. And so that's why I made the decision, or we made the decision to go out there. So I knew nothing about Kitchener, just
Yeah.
at the just at with the area that we were buying, what was going to be coming based off of um, going down the rabbit hole of investing and consuming all kinds of content, courses, books, podcasts, and so forth. Look where are they going to be building the amenities,
Hmm.
shopping,
Right.
schools, parks. And so it ticked all the boxes for where we bought in Kitchener, which was a new development.
Hmm.
We've since sold it. We made money in the short time that we were there.
Yeah.
But that's what brought us out to Kitchener mainly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then after you left the big guys there, you decided to start your own company. Now, you started with drafting first and then you moved
Correct.
into the contracting?
Correct. Correct. So that just seemed like a bit of an easier avenue for me to start with, focus on one thing and then branch out. Because it's almost like a ladder offer, right? Or offer ladder,
Yeah, yeah, right.
where the entry point is the design. Oh, by the way, I also do construction management. I have a construction management firm type of thing,
Yeah.
right? So I guess technically the bottom of the ladder would be the book, but at that time I didn't have the book yet. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So then, so what made your decision then to specialize in a lot of these ADU designs? How did you get into that?
Um, it well, one, investors are it's and remain my primary clientele because the homeowners, I have done additions and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but investors at that point in time, during the market frenzy, were pulling the trigger and doing a lot of improvements. Now, prior to that, I think it was in 2018, the province had introduced new housing policies making these ADUs easier for people to add to their properties, and it's since been more progressive, more progressively getting better, to the point where municipalities are now allowing four units, minimum 3 units.
Mm.
Toronto is allowing 6 units or 5 units, and I believe they're piloting 6 units,
Right. Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So it's just getting better. So I could see where the trend is going.
Mm.
I don't know how many duplexes were permitted and built between 2015 to let's say 2020 at the 2022 at the peak of the market, but I'm sure it was a lot.
Mm.
And so I'm just projecting that continued trend, that I want to be at the forefront of that trend when it
Yeah.
starts to gain traction, because there's obviously a housing affordability problem
Mm.
here, definitely in the GTA, but also across Canada. And then there's a housing supply problem, which is contributing to the affordability problem. And I don't think that continuing to build condos is what everyone wants in these suburban cities. So something like an ADU makes perfect sense, where if done right, it's another home in the backyard,
Hmm.
right? If it's on the right lot, like a corner lot, it's almost like it's its own
Right.
independent house, like the one I just finished in Brantford,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of potential for the mom and pop investor to add it as a source of rental income, but there's equally um, another opportunity for multi-generational living, which either culturally or by necessity
Mm.
is, I think, something that people will have no choice but to do. So I've had people that have reached out to me with children that have disabilities,
Right. Yeah.
and they're looking to keep them close to home, but also give them their own separate uh, dwelling unit, separate living environment, where they can have a PSW or whatever come to physical therapist or something like that come to attend to them. It's meeting accessibility requirements
I was just gonna
and
say,
so on and so
instead
forth.
of a lot of people, let's build an apartment in the basement. But yeah, if you do have some mobility issues, then having an on grade apartment in the back seems like a great option.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people have reached out to me, just average homeowner that sees the where we're going with affordability and says, okay, if I invest and build something on my property now that I can rent out for the next 18 years, let's say, if they're that forward thinking, or the next 10 years because their child's 8, and they can make rental income off now, pay down the debt that they used to build it, then they have a place for their child
Right. Yeah.
to live independently, and they don't have to keep going branching out and out and out
Mm.
and out of the GTA to find somewhere affordable to live.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's my wife and I talk about this. The village aspect. Like my in laws are Portuguese, and so there, yeah, you've got houses built behind houses built behind houses, or they're living right across the street, and it's great. Your family's right there, and but yeah, it's unfortunate nowadays where everybody just has to keep moving further and further out because
Yeah.
there wasn't really an option. I mean, you could have your kids stay, in your house, but if you only have a 2 or 3 bedroom house in the city, it gets kind of tight without having, and I'm sure it gets on each other's nerves too when your kids are still at
Right.
home, at 30. But
Yeah.
what do you do if you want your family close to you? Uh, what other options? Which is, yeah, having these accessory dwellings and tiny homes and stuff in the backyard are great ways to be independent. Have that separation, but also help each other. And I mean, you can help your
Yeah.
parents too, right? By helping, whether it's maintaining the
Yeah. That,
property, you're helping with the
that's
property taxes, all that stuff. Yeah.
so that's a good point. That's another example. So I've had also older people who are either close to or currently in retirement wanting to sell their home and downsize and
Mm.
build something on their child's property,
Right.
right? Because they'd have the cash to build it,
Mm.
and so that's another avenue. So it's not just investors that in the grand scheme of things would be wanting to, or who want to build these ADUs. But you started this by saying, not everyone knows what an ADU is, and that's
Right.
still true even after a number of years of
Mm.
continuing housing policy and people actually building them. Is that not enough? The it's not People aren't educated enough yet. It's not
Mm.
mainstream still, so we're still early. Um, but it will come. I'm sure of it, because it's not everyone wants to live in a condo. I don't want to live in a condo. This is an alternative to that, where you have a backyard space for your dog to go out, your kids to play, um, and families to stay together. So
Yeah, I like the one that you did. It was an L-shaped one that we toured, and the nice thing was that the ADU faced towards the back fence, and your driveway, they were able to drive basically right up to their unit, have a nice
yeah,
little yeah piece of land there that's their own. They're not staring at someone else's house. They do have that space, but you're providing more space for less price than what you can if you were actually to buy that condo. You buy a 600, 700,000 square foot condo, it's five, 600, $700,000. You're in this
hmm
building. You may have an amenity space there. You may not. You got to either park on the road, park in a lot far away, or come up a parking garage. Putting these little units, I mean, they're not even necessarily, I mean, they're 6, 7, 800 square feet. That,
well, the one that I just finished in Brantford is 920 square
yeah,
feet with a basement in it, so it's a
it's
house.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy, yeah, and of course, yeah, you're sharing the land. It's the whole thing, right? Yeah, you buy a piece of land and put a couple units on there, right? All of a sudden now you're sharing. It's all split. So yeah, obviously a great way for everybody to live. And yeah, it's just getting it's also the, you know, it's that mindset switch that you have to have. Um, it's no different. I was at a presentation for one of our buildings that we're building, condos, and they were asking someone there. They said, "Well, we still like our basement." It was an older couple. Like, why aren't you, you know, why wouldn't you buy a condo? And they said, "We still like our basement." I'm like, how many times do you use it? Oh, we use it at Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas when the family comes over. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we have this big party room here, and then they're like, oh, we didn't even think of that. So same thing with these
Yeah.
ADUs. You know, people just hear, oh, tiny house, tiny house. Oh, it's a little tiny. It's, you know, people are thinking a sea can in your backyard. But like you're building, like I couldn't believe, man, you posted that picture of your last one. I was like, holy smokes, like I'm
Yeah.
ready to move in right now.
Yeah. These are literally custom homes that are being built. They might not be monstrous custom homes, but they're still
Yeah.
custom
Yeah.
homes.
And I mean,
Yeah.
if your lot allows for it, you think about, you know, like a wartime house, the size and the practicality of a wartime
Yeah.
house. So that one that you built was 900 and something square feet, you said?
Yes.
And with a basement. So how many bedrooms? Like, just give us the overall layout. Obviously, people can
So
check it on your social media. But
yeah.
give us the layout. You walk into the house. What do you have on the
Yeah.
first floor, and then what do you have in the basement?
Yeah. So the first so the way I'll just give you the backstory. So the thought process for this is currently Brantford allows maximum of 3 units. But Brant County has talked about permitting 4, and then I assume that the cities or towns within it would follow suit. So it's been future proof for a 4th unit. It's a second unit in the detached ADU, which some municipalities like London and Kitchener already allow.
Yeah.
But the main floor is combined kitchen, living, dining room that you walk into. It's central. On either side is your bedrooms and your washroom. Um, it's a vaulted ceiling in that the roof is a shed style roof.
Okay.
So one wall is about 8'6"
Yeah.
on the front side, and the back wall, which faces the rear property line and the school in behind it. So you're not staring out into your neighbor's kitchen
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking outside the patio door. Is about 13 feet. So you can imagine with a transom above the patio window and then a patio door, lots of light comes in, lots of natural light comes in. On one side is a bedroom and a den, and then there's a stairwell with a landing that has a second access door. That way, in the future, the wall can be
Right.
sealed off from the main floor unit. We've already fire separated the wall between the den and the stairwell, so that part of it's done for when the basement eventually gets converted. On the opposite side is the master bedroom, and then a 4-piece, or I guess 5-piece technically, if you consider that it's double sink with a 60-inch sink. Bathroom with your stackable laundry in it. So it's hard, obviously, to like picture. So you can always refer to my social medias for a video of it, or the one from Rockstar that we did recently.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and then so obviously, yeah, you just that talked about that. That's very very important. I always stress this too. Like if you're renovating your basement, for instance, like think about future. Like even if you're not going to put a kitchen in there, like if you've got all the walls ripped open, you can run a vent there. You can cap it, leave it in the wall. I brought power and an empty box. You can run a conduit or just run power to it for a stove, just so it's there. So whoever moves
Yeah.
in the future obviously can do that. But for me, like it didn't make
Yeah.
any sense for me to spend an extra $20,000 to do all the fire rating, and then you got to make sure there's a separation between the basement and the upstairs, and then all that hassle. But if you're doing that renovation to plan for the future, you can maximize. You know, obviously, if you're going to sell the thing, or eventually every place gets sold, right? People pass on,
Yeah.
or your family takes over.
Yeah. So what we did on this property to future-proof that basement is, one, the windows in the basement are 42 by 42 side hinged windows. So they're adequately sized for egress, would be adequately sized for natural light. And if he were to put in that basement apartment, assuming that the bylaws change within the next 5 years, those windows would be compliant, because properties that are older than 5 years can fall under Part 11 of the building code, the renovation section, which permits half the size of the windows needed. So I don't want to get too technical into the Ontario building code, but basically, depending on the room size, so if you have a room size that's 100 square feet, you need a natural lighting requirement of 5% on properties that are 5 years or newer. So you would need a 5 square foot size window, right? You need to meet
And that's
those
glass,
dimensions.
right? Is
Yeah,
that glass? Yeah.
technically it's glass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
some
had that.
plans examiners will be a little bit easier on it. Some of them want you to take off
Yeah.
2 inches around the sash of the window and the
Yeah.
frame. It's yeah,
I had that recently. We spec'd a window and everything, and it was a 3 foot by 3 foot window, and I could get it right off the shelf from a supply house. But they're like, oh, it's 0.2 inches too small of glass. I was like,
yeah,
holy jeez. So I ended up having to put a 3 foot by 4 foot window in there, just because that's the next readily available size that was
yeah,
available, and I didn't have time to waste, like 9 weeks, and I guess I should
yeah.
have double checked that. But yeah, you go there and you go, hey, this is, I asked the window guy, oh yeah, here's a 3 by 3, that should work for the area, but no, not necessarily.
Yeah, it would work for the egress requirements, but not necessarily for the natural
Yeah,
lighting
yeah,
requirements. So, yeah, if it's older than 5 years, then it would only be 2.5%. So that 5 square foot window would shrink to 2.5 square feet,
yeah,
right? Now that wouldn't meet egress requirements,
right.
but you only need one
Hmm.
in that unit. So technically, if you had another bedroom or another window in a living room or something, that could be the egress window because that's where you want the majority of your natural light coming in, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, another interesting fact, not with this particular build, but just in general that I've been called out on before in my drawings, is that you cannot have a total number of openings that is greater than 50% of the length on the interior side of your foundation wall. So if you picture, a 30-foot section length of foundation wall, so
Yeah.
it's from inside to inside measurement,
Yeah.
and you had a total of 15.1 feet of that 30 feet as window openings,
Right.
that's not allowed
Huh.
because now the wall is no longer laterally supported.
Jeez.
So you could get away with that new construction where you could reinforce the wall with rebar or
Right.
other
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
right? Retrofitting not so much. So I've had that
Hmm.
pop up on a couple of occasions. Not like it was very minor changes that I needed to make with a client on it, but that's just something to keep in mind too.
Hmm.
Like there's all sorts of things that people don't even think of that you have to think of as a designer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When it comes to pricing, obviously pricing's all over the place depending on location and all that. But just kind of ballpark pricing. Let's say someone's just looking at, hey, I'd love to put an ADU in my backyard. Let's just say single unit, slab on grade. So you just have, a structural slab on the ground, no basement, typical wood frame construction,
yeah.
siding, typical house framing. What kind of numbers do they start at basically per square foot?
Yeah, so I always lean on the conservative side
Yeah.
when I'm budgeting. Based on all of the ones that I've budgeted for and built, you're coming in anywhere from 350, which is on the very low end,
Yeah.
to 400 or 450. 400, 450 is what I tell most people who come to me how much is it going to cost.
Yeah.
If you want a realistic budget number to carry forward and say a pro forma,
Yeah.
those are the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to get it for cheaper if you do some work yourself,
Right.
if you self-manage it, which if you read my book, you probably do. but I won't maybe not suggest that for the first crack, but
Yeah.
but that's a realistic number.
Yeah. I'm just doing some quick math here. So 750 square feet, let's say. So you could probably get an easy 2 bedroom in there.
Oh, for sure.
One
Yeah,
or two.
you could
Two.
cram one into a
Yeah.
600 square foot
Yeah.
if you really
Two. So
wanted to.
let's say 750 square feet. That's decent size. Like we're building 2 bedroom condos like that all the time. Even at $450 a square foot, that's $337,000. So you have
Yeah,
a nice finished house. You can walk right out to your car. That's right there. Your dog. You can let your dog out in the
yeah,
backyard for about half the price of a condo inside a multi-story building. So
yeah,
that just goes to
yeah.
show, even at the 450 price, and obviously pick cheaper materials, and depending on location and what you can get right now and how desperate guys are for work, you can build something really good for a decent price.
Yeah. Now, have you heard of these stories? I haven't seen it recently, but maybe it was a couple of years ago. Someone who had built a garden suite or a laneway house and then turned it into the property into a condominium,
Yeah, so yeah, I've
and
heard
then
of.
sold it off.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
seems to be happening in a lot of places now. Yeah, where you
Yeah.
can condoize. I think you can even do it with your basement suite as well. Anyways, people are playing around with some different rules, which obviously, and
Yeah.
you have to create mini condo
It's
corps. It's like when
it's a
somebody
whole thing.
it's like when
Yeah.
somebody asks like, "Oh, should I create my own like LLC and everything?" I was like, "Sure, you could, but if you're like doing one house flip every other year, like that's added work that you have to like think about the added work of creating like a board and all that stuff for your company
Yeah. And then you got to
and
pay
the
the accountant
yeah
accordingly to
yeah
file
yeah."
the proper forms, which
So
is
all of
a
a
lot
sudden you
more
think you're
expensive
yeah
than personal stuff.
yeah, you think you're saving money just pulling your hair out all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so what's kind of next for you right now? So what are you working on right now? I know you just did that ADU in Brantford. What are you working on next? Yeah.
Yeah, So I have some architectural projects in the pipeline,
Yeah.
doing garden suites for some investors to design
Hmm.
currently. Hopefully something build wise comes along in the not too distant future that we could start in the spring.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm working on right now. Um, I have a lot on the to do list, like we all do, right? Of things that I would like to get to.
Yeah.
Definitely creating a audiobook
Right.
version
Yeah.
of Rehabber Secrets this winter
Yeah.
is on my to-do list.
Yeah.
Now that I have a proper setup for it with the boom arm and everything like
Yeah.
that for the podcast mic,
Yeah.
should make things a little bit easier. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Like a lot of investors here in Canada, I'm looking across the border
Yeah.
at different things. I've been working on getting my U.S. work visa
Okay.
for since the beginning of the year, since February of this year, because of the opportunities that exist in the States,
Hmm.
right? So I've been working on that. It's a bit of a process. Hopefully, I can get some positive answers for it into the new year.
Hmm.
So I'm hopeful that with the lowering of interest rates, although it's out of necessity, that things will pick up
Hmm.
even more so in the real estate market, and that will lead to more projects for you and me,
Yeah.
more opportunities for you, more projects for
Well,
me.
and what people so we had I work for a big developer contractor here in Waterloo. So we were talking with a developer recently, and they're saying, well, I've got a lot of backlog right now, and units not rented. But we're saying like now is the time to build. It's never been cheaper, and it probably will never be cheaper to build right now, especially here in Southern Ontario. There's been such a drop in the Toronto market that it's unfortunate. But this, you take advantage, right? When there's dips, these people are desperate for work, and people are doing it at basically offering at cost or just a little bit above cost just to keep their guys working. You don't want to lose
Yeah,
good guys, and unfortunately,
yeah,
you need a job. You're gonna jump ship, and the cost of living is so high right now that it's never been cheaper, and people are taking advantage of this. We're getting calls constantly from people looking to start projects that like we don't even know anything about, right? Or they've just been sitting on the shelf for so long, waiting for this exact moment. I was recently listening. I think it was a guy from CMHC was talking like, so we've got this dip now, but 2027, like they're looking to have a bunch of people start coming back into the Toronto area, which also coincides with the international buyer ban being lifted. So I wonder all of a sudden we got
they're creating another perfect storm. They seem to be very good. Our policymakers are creating the perfect storm for skyrocketing real estate prices
yeah.
with the intent
Yeah.
of creating more affordability.
So you think hey, there's going to be and you know what, because we're not building those condos, people still got to work in Toronto, people still have those jobs, people are still coming, businesses are still growing. So then now might be the perfect time to build an ADU or something in your backyard, knowing that there is going to be people are going to keep needing rental houses. Like we're not turning off the taps, people keep coming, people keep having kids. I mean, it might be less than before, people are still having kids, and they still want them to
Yeah,
live close to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's talk about your book here. So I got an advanced copy of it. So let's talk about how you decided in the first place to even write a book.
Yeah. So they say that a book is the ultimate business card,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not in it to make millions from this thing. That's for sure. It's not
Yeah.
going to be on the New York Times bestseller anytime soon. But I got the inspiration for writing this book as part of a different real estate investor network that I joined,
Mhm.
um, and we were doing a property tour going and see a few different properties. And there was a general contractor that was leading that property tour. This was in the middle of the summer of 2022, I believe. And the investors that were participating, that some were experienced, some were novice. So it was a nice mix. And they were asking him a lot of questions. And I'm standing there in the background with my, vast amount of experience and what I do on the day to day. I'm like, I can answer that. I can answer that one too. Why don't you just ask me, because I can answer that question? I don't remember what the specific question was, but how much does this cost?
Yeah.
Or, when should I be doing this? What do you think about that? This on materials. And so that really was like the another light bulb moment of mine, where it's like, okay, I have all of this knowledge, extensive project management knowledge that should, and there seems to be a market for it.
Oh, yeah.
Of people that want the information. So let me write a book on it. Let me transfer and download all of those, decade plus years of experience in the trenches,
Yeah.
and write something that people can actually pick up and understand. Because they say, what's the saying? They you don't really understand something until you can explain it simply to someone.
Right. Yeah.
Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
So to try to take complex, systems and processes from enterprise level systems, right, from the Project Management Institute and their project management body of knowledge, and put it into a format that's relatable to the investor. I mean, it started with being targeted at both homeowners and investors, and a homeowner could certainly pick up this book and read it and get just as much knowledge out of it as an investor could.
Yeah.
Right. But for the sake of trying to niche down to a market, I picked investors to cater this to.
Yeah.
And so this book covers everything, I would say, from A to Z on, picking the right power team, right? Looking at the feasibility of a property and what kinds of things you should be looking at, doing a cost benefit analysis of it, going through the permit processing, or permit process, I should say. So the pre-construction stages, the various stages of the project, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, closing, the different principles of project management, how to reach out to contractors, how to qualify them, my formula for qualifying them, how to request quotes, how to review those quotes, how to do what's called bid leveling, right? Or make sure you're comparing apples to apples, essentially, not apples to oranges across different contractor quotes, right? Going through the actual construction phase, red flags from contractors before and during a project.
I've got this, and I saved it right here. So everyone can see
Yeah, there you go.
Pre-screening process. This book right here, regardless of what you have to pay for this thing will save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, just by following secret number 12, pre-screening process. And I love your one tip is, if you can't find the company website, they may work through referrals, but they also may not be the guy to call. And I can't tell you the number of people I've gone to, and they're like, I got so and so. I was like, who are they? You look online, they don't exist. And you put it right here. Hey, maybe they work through referrals, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But in today's day and age, if you can't find them online, I would be wary. So
yeah, good choice of words. Yeah, exactly. I think I definitely include in there different ways to find contractors. Obviously, you want to start with your network and referrals.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off what you were saying, you don't know what the intent of those referrals are. If it's a buddy, if it's a family member, if maybe the expectation of the person providing the referral is different than the expectation that you have of what quality workmanship is like, right?
Yeah,
that's a pretty big one.
It's like the tenant who, they've got like broken cabinets. They think it's great to live there, and someone else can look at that and go, what?
Yeah, what is this? This is, exactly. So, it goes through other different sources to reach out to contractors as well. So it goes through the red flags. It goes through how to communicate with contractors, goes through the various steps of a construction project. I use an example of building a new home, which would translate well to building a detached ADU. So it gets very, very technical. It covers, how to get better for the next time with lessons learned exercise and to not repeat mistakes. Goes through risk management, like basically anything A to Z that you would need. This book is a step-by-step manual for project management. And it's something that you can refer back to again and again, like it's a textbook
Yeah.
that you can scale with,
Hmm.
because the process from doing a cosmetic renovation to building a detached ADU to building a 10 home townhouse complex to building a low rise built apartment building,
Yeah.
like the processes involved from a project management standpoint are the same.
Hmm.
From a design standpoint, to a certain extent, they're the same, right? You might need to get more consultants involved. There might be more players. It might take longer.
Right.
There's definitely a technical uh, complexity as you scale up to it, but the process is the same. So what's, uh, be a pro, right? What does a
Yeah.
pro need?
I was just,
A pro needs to be
I was just gonna ask you that here
right.
as we start winding down here. It's been almost an hour. I was gonna ask you. That's how I wanted to end every episode. Yeah, like when you say like be a pro, the be a pro mindset. Like yeah, like to you, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah. So first and foremost, you have to be a problem solver
Yeah.
and you have to be resourceful. If you have those two skills, that you can go very far.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I always say it's you really learn the like the true grit of somebody when their back's against the wall and
Yeah.
what happens. And you see, yeah, we see on the bigger project where the consultants and the owners, they turtle in a corner and don't want to address a problem. But it's like, let's just pick up the phone right now. It's like we're either going to solve this
Yeah.
problem or we need to move on to something else, get a new contractor in, you know scrap the
Yeah.
change. Just do something. We can't just sit here, and just burn, especially, if you're a real estate investor and something's not going right. Like if you're not reaching out to somebody every day, whether, you're short on money or something's going wrong, if you're not on that phone 24 hours a day to solve the problem, like it's not going to solve it's not going to solve itself. No one's going to come, it's like the thing, no one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then being a project manager, you're almost looking for problems all the time, even if they haven't come up yet. That's
Yeah.
what a risk register is, right? Or you
Yeah.
do risk management.
Yeah.
You're trying to foresee potential problems and what is the corrective
Yeah.
action, or
Yeah.
how do you transfer that risk? How do you mitigate it? How do you avoid it? And all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, definitely, be a pro. Also, they got to be trustworthy,
yeah.
got to be professional, right? They have to be experienced. They have to know their stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I always say, right, like honesty is the best. Like even if it didn't go wrong, like you break something, you install something wrong, like
Yeah.
you can't just leave it, right? So you're better to just come forward and be like, man, I screwed this up, and we're gonna fix it, because it has to be fixed. It's got to be done right, and before you can
Yeah.
move
It's the
on.
right thing
So
to do, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's at the end of the day. So that's the approach that I take with both potential clients and clients, is that I'm just going to tell it how it is.
yeah.
So, if you don't like the price, I mean, I got enough knowledge and experience to know what's worth it,
and that
what it
and
is. So,
that's the biggest thing, yeah, where people it's like the price is the price, unfortunately. And I've told this people all tell this people before, like, let's say your basement's $60,000, so I only spent 40. I said, okay, so call me back in a year when you save another 20. When you save another 20,000, then we'll give you exactly what
yeah,
you want.
yeah,
Or what do we take away? Do we not, like we just talked about, do we not put
yeah,
that bathroom in? Do we not put that kitchen? And we'll leave it there. And in the future, if you want to putter around and save some money and do it yourself in the future, you can definitely do that.
yeah. I mean, I've even told it to general contractors who've told me that my prices for design work
Yeah.
are too high. I'm like,
Okay.
all right, all right. Well, you as a business owner know what your costs are, right?
Yeah.
So you have your time. That's worth
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
You have overhead, right? You have all this equipment. You have licenses,
Hmm.
right? You have like BCIN for me as a designer.
Yeah.
You have insurance. So I have two kinds of insurance. I have errors and emissions
Right.
insurance for professional liability, and then I have general liability insurance for the construction management. So I'm paying two different insurances, which are
Yeah.
not cheap, right? And then you have your WSIB, then you have this, then you have that. So at what point, factoring all those things in, I got to pay myself, I got to put food on the table, I got a family
Yeah.
to feed, right? It's like, at what point is it better for me just to close up shop and go back to working full time for
Right.
someone else?
Exactly.
So that's the price is the price.
Yeah. Where can everyone find you if they want to reach out? They want to see some of your projects. They want to reach out. Maybe they need some design work. Like where you can work all throughout Ontario. You can do design work for people.
Yeah, I stick mostly to southwestern Ontario.
Yeah.
I have branched out a little bit further north, but not too much.
Yeah.
Whatever's within an hour to maximum an hour and a half driving radius from Mississauga is
Right.
generally what I'll do.
Yeah.
For construction management, because I like to be so hands-on, it's a bit less than that.
Yeah.
Right, I like to stay a half hour, tops, because that's all time, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so as far as where you can find me, so you can find me on Instagram at Michael Emanuel Official.
Okay.
Emmanuel is Emanuele, because everyone screws that up.
I was screwing up. I was getting double checked a million times.
Yeah, that's okay. It's just been like that since elementary school. So that's how you can follow me. In my bio, there's a link. It'll take you to a separate page that will have links to both the Infinite Design and Consulting Services, which is doing the architectural design work, and then We Build ADUs, which is doing the construction management.
Yep.
You can find links to other podcasts I've been on, links to featured YouTube content that other creators and influencers have put up.
Yep.
And that's what I would recommend. Now,
awesome.
If you're interested in getting a copy of the book, I think Adam will have something to share with everyone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so if you guys want to buy a copy of it, you can buy it on Amazon. You do have your book up on Amazon, so I'll share that link. But a special offer, if anyone joins the Be a Pro network, I'll put the links here as well. So for $1 a month, you can join the network. There's a bunch of people in there already, but Michael is going to offer a digital copy of the book for free to anyone who joins the Be a Pro network. So if that, like I said, you can pay $1, get this guy in digital, just finding your first contractor, going through all his secrets that he's got in there. It will save you tens of thousands and so much headache, and it'll open your mind. Like I was doing construction for, I don't know, 12, 15 years at that time. I didn't understand the word power team. Like I said, I was doing some project management courses and I was reading this at the same time. And all of a sudden I'm just like, holy geez, it makes so much more sense when I'm reading something like this. It's all broken down to great chapters and all little tips and stuff you got there as well. So we'll have Michael on for sure. We'll schedule another time together. Maybe you can go through some of your projects and kind of breakdowns for cost and everything. So we'll plan that out in the next couple weeks as well. So definitely a great offer. Make sure you guys are following Michael online. He's got a bunch of different walkthroughs. He's been interviewed on a bunch of different podcasts as well. So lots of great knowledge there. You can see what he's been up to. And with that, we'll sign off. So thank you, Michael, for coming on today.
Thanks a lot, Adam. You know what? Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
I'd give an extra bonus offer for people who will join up to the Be a Pro network. So when they join up, they will get a digital copy of Rehabber Secrets.
Yeah.
If they leave Amazon book review for it, and let you know or let me know, I'll give them access to something I call the self-management mastery spreadsheets, which is basically 47 different checklists. You could call it quality assurance, quality control checklist that takes you through every bit of scope through a project, where you can just bring it with you on site, check it off. You can even hand it to your contractors and say, make sure all this stuff kind of gets done. You can modify it to suit your own needs, obviously, but I've gotten great feedback from it. It's been a valuable tool for me in my business, and it's been a valuable tool for other investors who've read Rehabber Secrets. So I just want to extend that little bonus out there and hopefully entice some people even more.
So join up, and Michael will be in the group as well now. So going forward, if you guys have questions on ADUs or design planning, he'll be in there. I'm sure he'll give you guys some great deals and help along the way as well. So we're just launching this Be a Pro network. This is the first episode of the Be a Pro show. If you want to be on the show, shoot a message. If you need to know anything about design, architectural, project management, you want to get a copy of the book, you can reach out to Michael. Join the Be a Pro network. Subscribe to Michael on all social medias, and we'll see everyone later.
All right, take care.